he said, I have to get a star back. Well, if you don't get a star back, you better get the ammo to be able to get a star back. So when we recorded late last week, I was the one that was saying, just do something, pull the trigger, move on with this some way, somehow. You were preaching patience on this. Do you feel like this was worth not having patience on it and that Morey got a reasonable return for the services of Harden?
I think getting 2 first-round draft picks plus a swap in the deal makes it worth it. I wrote on the Ringer on Monday about how James Harden's best choice is to go back to this new Sixers situation, which we'll talk about a little bit later with their new offense. And in that, I mentioned how for the Sixers, they should be patient here. Getting 2 first-round draft picks and a super valuable swap. If you have the rights to the Clippers first in 2029 with the ability to swap, for Philadelphia to offer that to other deals, to say, hey, you get the best of our pick, the Clippers pick, and your own. The Clippers, who knows? Kawhi could be retired by then, and Embiid could be playing for another team. That pick could be incredibly valuable in 2029 from the Clippers or the Sixers. So I think to get all of this, they effectively get 2.5 first-round draft picks with the 2 from the Clippers and the Thunder with a 3-way, and then the swap. That's really, really, really good value. And then you get 2 second-round draft picks on top of that. So now you have 2 seconds in 2024, a second in 27, a second in 28, 3 seconds in 2029, and then your own second in 2030. That's a lot of draft capital to have and package together ahead of the deadline, or with the additional first next summer that you could give up 4 of them. So getting 3 now or 2 now, depending on how you work it out, and then 4 next summer. That suddenly Sixers have a little bit of draft flexibility.
It obviously does not make them better in the short term. That being said, I do think that this is going to have to be judged after they make their deal, whatever that deal is.
Yes,
because
I
when
agree.
you look at this, you know, those players on the surface are not wowing anybody. And so on the surface, it looks like, oh, wow. You know, I know there's some sentiment like, oh, they got fleeced or whatever. Like, look, this got to play out. Those are all expirings. That's one thing that we, really made me notice. Like, all right, what do these things have in common? Morris is an expiring. Covington's an expiring. Batum's an expiring. So this is all either you can package together, you've got the salaries and the picks to be able to package it together to a team that's willing to give you something, hopefully a star. Hopefully you have enough to make a star package with a bunch of picks and with expirings so that people can have that come off of their books when they move said star. Because he said, I have to get a star back. Well, if you don't get a star back, you better get the ammo to be able to get a star back. And we're about to find out if they got, we're about to find out. Did they get the ammo to get a star back? Because if they did, then you don't have to get the star back. For Harden, you've got the goods to be able to go get one elsewhere. And so I feel like you're going to have to see what they do with this stuff and judge it upon that. And I do think that they need to do something, this year. This is not like a wait and see on this. You only have a finite amount of time that Embiid's going to be one of the best, 5 to 10 players in the league. And so I think you want to take advantage of that sooner than later. And again,
it's ideal. It's ideal, Chris. You're right. It's ideal for them to use that ammo this year before the trade deadline. I think that goes without saying. They can't win
with what they have against the best teams.
Sure, they can make the playoffs and be a competitive team. Like the Nick Nurse revisions to the offense, like I wrote about on Monday, dribble handoffs are way up. They've tripled their dribble handoffs from last season. Maxey, as we talked about last week in our first impressions, looks more like an all-star at this point. Embiid is doubled his assists per game. He has the ball in his hands in space. The Sixers are cutting and moving. They look really good offensively. They look really good. Even without Harden, they look really good. So like they're good enough to make the postseason with Embiid and Maxey and their supporting cast that they currently have. But to win the finals, to your point, they have to add another guy. And they're in a position now where they can at least be competitive for a guy that could become available ahead of the deadline. But the fact is that they don't need to make a deal, though, because if they wait until the summer, they could have $55 million in cap space. Top free agents could be guys like from the Clippers.
You can't waste another Embiid year.
But listen, but you could. If you need to, you could wait to sign Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, OG Anunoby, DeMar DeRozan, Pascal Siakam, Klay Thompson, LeBron James. I mean, like there's just a bunch of those are the free agents available. It's not a great class. They're better off making a trade. All I'm saying is that the plan B of waiting for cap space to pursue free agents is there. And the plan B to wait for trades in the offseason is there as well, because you'll also have that 2024 pick available to move. So like the Sixers have some options. They can deal the 2 firsts ahead of the deadline plus the swap, so they can give 3 firsts ahead of the deadline. Then they can change to 4 firsts after the deadline next summer. So they have different options and different paths here. And I think for Philadelphia, that equates to a victory, getting those numbers of first-round draft picks. It was worth getting this deal now rather than waiting. I'm not so sure you could have done better than this. So clearly the Clippers, a team that wasn't willing to give up Terrence Mann, they were willing. They did clearly want Harden. They clearly did want Harden to give up all of this draft capital. Like they are really stripped in the future. They got pretty much nothing. Not to mention that Harden's a free agent in a couple of months. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have player options for next season. Like they got nothing from here moving forward of their own. Clearly an all-in move for them to give up all of this draft capital. Yeah, I mean, it's risky.
They're not worried about the future. They're not worried about the future right now.
They're all in right now, dude.
And I will tell you this. This is where we split ways. If you're Morey, you have to do something this year. You have to, because at that point,
you can't do anything dumb though. Is what I'm saying.
I understand, but you're getting farther away from having a chance at a title if you don't. And you got guys looking around, going, all right, this is a team. My team has not been able to build out around me. I'm starting to lose a little bit of trust in this. If you're Joel Embiid, I just don't think you can't have a season where he goes in with what he's got right now, gets bounced in the first or second round again, because then you're playing with fire. Because then it's like, hey, just trust me, wait till we get to free agency. And then what? Then if you can't sign somebody or you can't bring the goods, then it's like you're really stretching it, especially with these stars now. And because you lost, and look, I don't like you losing Tucker either. I mean, that's 2 guys that you would have had to go into a fight with, when it comes playoff time. Whether or not they're contributing a lot during the regular season, he's a guy that's going to be in the game in the playoffs.
Yeah, but he's not his prime level PJ Tucker.
No,
though.
He's going to play
he's
for
not
you
anymore. But he shoots he barely shoots. He's not a shooting threat. He's not the level of defender that he once was. He's still a tough guy. He's still a tone setter. But I don't think the Sixers are without tone setters. Like they still have Melton and Embiid's a tone setter. They still have added some tone setters.
What tone is Embiid setting?
I mean, he's a great shot blocker. He's doing the Suck It DX celebration.
That's bully ball stuff. He wasn't doing Suck It versus the Bucks.